So hello everybody, you're very welcome back to Law Hero. My name is Jen and I make videos about the law, and today we're going to be talking about the do's and don'ts of the FE1. So the first thing is, what is the FE1? It is an entrance exam that is governed by the Solicitors Acts and associated regulations, and it is a critical step to qualifying as a solicitor in Ireland. There's a backstory to it, I'm not going to go into it, but basically it's a way for the Law Society to standardise applicants coming into the profession. It's held twice a year, so usually in March and October, or as we call it, spring and autumn. And there are 8 exams. So tort, equity, property, EU, criminal, constitutional, contract, and company law. And usually you apply for the exam 6 to 8 weeks before the exam date, and you can take the exams in person in Dublin or online. I always recommend taking them online because you get an extra 30 minutes. You can plan your answers better and you can type, which is much faster and more accessible than handwriting. In terms of subjects, you can select the number of subjects you want to attempt. I usually tell people to do 4, but it depends on your individual circumstances. When it comes to attempts and duration, there is no limit to the number of attempts, but all subjects must be passed within 7 years of the first passed subject. You can also take the subjects once you do them at undergraduate level, which is something I recommend for my undergraduate students. And undergraduate passes are provisional until proof of your level 7 or level 8 qualification is provided. So you got to pass your college course in order for it to be legitimate. Now we're going to move on to the do's and don'ts of the FE1. This is really quick. I'm going to do a video on each individual subject here on YouTube for 2025, so you can go look at those and you can go look at my timing video as well. But this is just like a very general do's and don'ts for the FE1. And I'm sure you've heard all these before. But the first one is to summarize legislation in your own language rather than copying it directly. So we'll say section 40, corporate capacity, you explain it yourself. Use very clear and concise references. You don't have to have all the years on the case law, but know exactly what the case is. When you make an argument, make sure it is backed up by case law and legislation. What I do is I say have at least 3 cases to back up a point, and if you have legislation, that's even better. Make sure you tailor your answers to the question that is asked, not what you want to be asked. If it's separate legal personality and you're asked about agency, talk about agency. Focus on the key element the examiner is looking for, is basically what I'm saying. Those are the do's. So what are the don'ts when it comes to FE1? There's many of them. The first one I think is relying or memorizing answers or memorizing legislation verbatim. That's not what a solicitor does. A solicitor knows how to apply the correct law to the facts that are put in front of them. We're also not people who learn essays off by heart. That is not critical analysis. That is not the skill of a solicitor, and you're being examined as a solicitor. You don't need to learn the citations either of the case law, as I said. Just, have Donoghue v. Stevenson, that's fine. Don't make bold claims without backing them up without statutory authority or case law. Don't over-explain facts unless the problem question relates to the facts. You can differentiate on the facts, or you can say they were similar to the facts, but don't overdo it on facts. It's not important. It's the legal principles that are important. And don't overload your answer with irrelevant details. Everything has to be relevant in order to pass the exam. And my final point is around timing. I've done a separate video on it, but if your timing is off, if you don't give the requisite amount of time to each of the 5 questions, you're going to fail the exam because one of them is going to be below par, so below 10 out of 20 marks, and that is going to jeopardize your whole pass-fail probability. If you have any questions, go to my website lawhero.eu. I'm also on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next one.